All right. Good morning, everyone. Chief Granitz here from the Allentown Police. Hope that you are enjoying what is a rainy Sunday morning out there. I'll go ahead and own it. It's a little bit of a laid-back Sunday here at the community studio. Was in the office and figured we could jump on a little bit and answer some questions and give a rundown on some of the events and things occurring in the city. Good morning to all of you. Assuming some people on the feed have gone to church this morning already or maybe going soon. But let's start off with just saying hello and thank you for working with us as we hopefully reach the end of COVID-19 and move past that. I'm seeing a lot of good morning. Shout outs out there. I'll try to answer some questions here. But want to start off by going into some of the proactive policing that has occurred across the city the last few weeks. Always a lot of requests in to hit different areas for different things, whether it be aggressive driving, which we'll get into later, community concerns, violent crime. Obviously, we try to respond to all of them as we can. So the first post that you're going to see here is some of the proactive policing that our 3rd Platoon has done down in the 2nd Street, Ridge Avenue, Front Street area, following some concerns down that way. And this is some proactive policing and a vehicle stop by our 3rd Platoon members that resulted in a significant seizure of drugs, suspected drugs, currency, and a stolen firearm. And that's just a shout out to the 3rd Platoon for taking it a step further and making our streets a little bit safer by taking that stolen firearm off the street. So thank you very, very much to those men and women from all of our platoons and specialty units that are out making a difference. I know we had heard some requests to make our presence felt in that area in terms of some proactive policing, directed patrols, walking patrols. So we've done that, and that's just one example of how sometimes it pays off taking a gun off the street. So moving forward from that, I want to talk about a concern that I received from some of our city council members, and it's something that I and our officers hear about all the time, and it regards double parking on 7th Street. If you travel down 7th Street, you know that it's an issue. You know that there's a lot of good businesses on that route, and you know that double parking is an issue. So we're trying to assist our friends at the Parking Authority with that. And we did some proactive operations, unfortunately, that involved enforcement. And I say unfortunately because that's not our goal, is not to hand out tickets, but we need to set the tone that double parking is a danger and a concern for a number of people, pedestrians, and vehicles on that roadway. We're not trying to get in the way of anyone's business, but we must ensure that the road remains open. So we started last week. It was during the rain. And if you're a chief that goes and asks your units to get out there in the rain, sometimes it's unpopular, but I want to say thank you to them for hitting it. We hit it around a rush hour, 2 days in a row, different times a day on 7th Street. And honestly, 30-some citations for parking were written each day. And news got out very quickly. I received some calls, a lot of them positive, some of them negative, but it's important that we are showing our community that we're listening to these concerns, working with the parking authority, and we are making sure that we are working on that double parking situation. So hopefully you saw our officers out there. So we also followed it up. It's not just about enforcement. It's about following it up with information. Our officers walk 7th Street from just north of Tillman, up there by the Wells Fargo, if you're familiar, the Hoppo. And then they walked it all the way down to about Turner and Linden. And they went to each business with some information about why double parking is an issue, trying to talk to the people buying things or running in. I know there's some additional parking going to become available on 7th Street soon in the 500 block. And I know parking is tight. I get it. I live in the city. So we followed that up with some information to all of the business owners. Hopefully you saw our officers out there walking around. And it was certainly something that we wanted to hit on. I think there's some graphics being shown of some of the information we handed out, and I want to thank the men and women of APD FOP Lodge 10 for being willing to engage. It's raining. It was one of the big rain days. We had them out there. Then the next day was really nice, and they told me they enjoyed being out there. The nice weather more so than the rain, but we were out there for a couple days, and there's more of that to come. So if you're double parking, please think twice about it. They're expensive tickets. They are. It's not one that any of us want to get. So thank you. I've seen a lot of comments on here about the great video production. 100%. We have a great team here at APD, the Community Outreach Unit, really hitting with some media. We've taken advantage of COVID in the sense of we realize that there's more than one way to communicate with all of you at home. And we'll talk about how we've been communicating and coming out of it. And I really want to say thank you to some of the community groups that have come out of the pandemic. We've done some virtual meetings just in the past few weeks. I know I've been on a few of them, but our community outreach team, Assistant Chief Roca, some of our captains have been out there. And just in the past few weeks, we've hit Old Allentown. They had a virtual meeting. I think it was a happy hour. They were all very happy when we were talking to them about some community concerns. I know that Captain Kaiser from our community outreach unit and Sergeant Leonard, they hit the Midway Manor virtual meeting a few weeks ago. West End Alliance, we were on with some of our COR people as well as Assistant Chief Roca. I was on the Muhlenberg community group with a number of APD representatives. And the Riverfront Wards community group, so down in the area of Ridge Avenue, 2nd Street, they meet at Ridge and Liberty. I was down there in person at Immaculate Conception for one of their meetings. And I know for sure that we got a Mountainville Crime Watch meeting coming up soon that we're looking forward to. Always be reaching out to us. We love to have a presence here in the city and moving on. So thank you very, very much. So moving on here, I want to talk about some of the things that our department and our men and women have been doing to stay connected with you. And here we are, hopefully COVID's in the rear view. I'll probably say that about 15 more times as I hope that we are. And I want to start by talking about a Coffee with a Cop event. I want to say thank you to Councilwoman Moda, Sarandonga Latin Bistro down there at American Parkway in Hamilton for hosting us. We had a great turnout. We had elected representatives. Mayor O'Connell was there, Council President Garidi and Councilman Hendricks. I know several other council people wanted to be there but had work conflicts. It was a great turnout. One of our first in-person events that we've had. We were COVID safe. I know I was there with my family. My little girl was there playing with some of the other little kids. And I want to give a shout out to the men and women of APD and FOP Lodge 10 because I saw some off-duty officers there and their families, and I don't want to embarrass them by throwing out their names, but I want to say thank you. I think that's really cool to see, and I want to say thank you to the 3rd Platoon was working that day. I think there's a graphic here with some of our officers. I want to say it's Officer Vidal and Officer Carvajal from one of the pictures from down there with Councilwoman Moda, who is the current chair of the Public Safety Committee. So thank you for working with us to make these happen. What a great night that was. A lot of good discussions came out of that. So moving on past the Coffee with the Cop, I mean, those are things we've done. And to be fair, it was better than Coffee with a Cop because there was food there and it was phenomenal. We all went home full that night. So a little more with Coffee with a Cop. Moving on, I want to talk about something that I think was well publicized on our page on the city website. Mayor O'Connell and Good Shepherd and APD announced a partnership together to help fund the ongoing relationship for Project Lifesaver, which initially was grant funded with Senator Brown. I know he's working to help us on some future funding, and there's some other irons in the fire here. But I want to say thank you to Good Shepherd for that initial donation, and speaking with their president, it sounds like this is going to be an ongoing relationship to support this program, which is such great need in our community. So thank you to Good Shepherd. And it's a great community partner there that we love working with, and we will continue to work with. So thank you. Another thing that our officers are really buying into, and the community outreach unit is helping us to push, are some community walks that we're doing. Officers are being encouraged to get out of their cars more with the walking patrols. I've been fortunate to be on some of them. One was a really nice day, and it just occurred to me that it was 65 degrees and we had spent too much time in the office. It was time to get out. I met a young man named Ricky. I was on the south side, I want to say off of Mass Avenue by Baker Drive on this one. And happy birthday to Ricky. I believe it was his birthday last week, as he was trying to tell me. So Ricky, happy birthday from all of us at APD. We had a great time. We were losing officers on this walk, and I say that in a good way because officers were getting involved in conversations, and then I was looking around to see where everybody was. I think we went live over there, but it was a really good time. It was great weather. Talking to some people that said they hadn't seen the police walk in their block in quite some time. So that was great. You can always throw out areas that we would love to visit. I know I received some South Meadow Street requests on my personal feed. I was out at South 7th and Cumberland the other morning on a Friday morning. It was very nice. I had lots of good conversations, people pulling over. The first reaction is always, what's wrong? And my next question back is, what's right? And let's talk about what we can do together. So that is awesome to hear about a lot of the things going on. So the community walks, you're going to see our officers out. Very happy about that. I want to talk about something I saw in a city council meeting recently affecting my neighborhood. I want to say thank you to a gentleman by the name of Harry Casper. You may not know him by name, but if you live out in the West Park area of town, so 15th and Turner, 15th and Linden, West Park, going out to Allen High School, you've probably seen this man walking around. He has made it his life's mission to pick up trash in the area, and hundreds of bags of trash that this gentleman has picked up. And I just want to say thank you. I see him out early in the morning. I've seen him out for years. He's pictured here receiving his proclamation from the city with Mayor O'Connell. That's Ann Sauerman, the director of recycling, solid waste, and another fine lady in that picture. Amy is a good friend of mine from the West Park area, and it was good to see Harry recognized for his work here in the city. It's always good to hear someone giving back of their time. I just wanted to shout out to him. So moving on, we had a very busy day yesterday in the city, and obviously Friday night into Saturday morning we had a shooting and a homicide. It took a life of a young man. So I'm encouraging anyone listening, you will see our officers back in that area this week. We'll be reaching out to all the residents with some resources, also asking for additional information. Our detectives can be reached via phone at 610-437-7721. We'll post that in the comments. And also, obviously, our Tip 411 anonymous text tip app available off of our website is also a good way to get us information. But yesterday was a very busy day, and we're going to follow that up with what happened yesterday out in Lehigh Parkway with our PAL Camps program that you hear me talk about a lot. I missed the morning session, which I'm devastated that I missed it. This is awesome. You're going to see a picture here. It's a wonderful lady named Rachel Moyer, and her foundation, the Greg Moyer AED Foundation, in memory of her son. As you know from previous posts, with the help of Rachel Moyer and the Greg Moyer Foundation, along with St. Luke's Hospital, all of our units, our frontline units, now have AEDs, automated defibrillators. It has saved a number of lives already. On the east side of Allentown, an example. On the west end of Allentown, I've seen an example firsthand and watching the body cams of the officers. These machines are saving lives. So we took it one step further, and yesterday's PAL Camps mentorship program was all about first aid, CPR, and of course, the AEDs. And the people you see in the picture with the PAL van, those are not police officers. That's Rachel Moyer and her team, and it is St. Luke's Hospital staff that were there training these young men and women from Allentown, our PAL Camps members. They were training them in the use of the AED, in CPR, and in first aid. And that is a great experience for our people to have, hosted out at our Allentown Police Academy. Like I said, I was tied up on the incident from overnight. I didn't make it out there till the afternoon. Habitat for Humanity came out as well. There'll be some posts on that coming. All this will be documented for you shortly. Just some great videos and pictures. Now, what I did arrive for, I was a pretty intensive game of dodgeball in the afternoon in the parkway. We had people coming up to us who were walking their dogs, going for runs, like, what's going on? Looks like so much fun. We're playing dodgeball, and I'll give a shout out to Maddie, young lady who got me out twice during dodgeball. I'm coming for you, Maddie. I'm just going to be honest. It's here. It's live. It's recorded. So we're going to be going for that. It just goes to show you may not see it every day. Obviously, we want you to follow our Facebook page, but our men and women, our APD officers are there. Our patrol officers were stopping by, talking to the kids. This is good stuff going on here in the city of Allentown. And finally, in the realm of community outreach initiatives, let's talk about something that hasn't been announced yet. You're going to see it soon. Mayor O'Connell and I were present with our Honor Guard, members of our Honor Guard here at APD, for a scholarship fund that they have begun with a generous donation from a local business known as Preventative Measures. They have a location here in the 500 block of Linden Street. They have a CEO, the gentleman who founded the company, is a kid local. He's not a kid anymore, but he's a kid who was local here. My understanding is he was quite the football player years ago at Deer High School and beyond into college, Mr. Dwayne Jones. And I want to say thank you to Dwayne and his team. And there's a personal connection there between one of our officers and a family member that works there. And that's what I'm always talking about. I'm always looking for the connection to Allentown. A lot of people focus on living in the city, and I think that's great. I do. But what I'm looking for is the officers, the men and women of APD and FOP Lodge 10 that are willing to come to things on their own time, that are here for the right reasons. And this is an example of those relationships paying off. So look forward to this announcement shortly. It was a beautiful but windy day the other day for us accepting the scholarship funds from Preventative Measures, and Mr. Dwayne Jones and the Honor Guard of APD deserves a lot of credit for getting behind this initiative. I'm really excited that it's going to benefit kids from Allentown. It's going to be great. So moving on from that, and I'm trying to follow along some comments to see if I can answer any questions here, and see if we can answer some things. I see, retired Donna Coco from our police academy. I happened to run into her a few weeks ago when I was out there and working. She worked out there for over 40 years. You probably saw a post, and she stops out there to work out. And I was not out there working out. I was actually out there with Assistant Chief Roca and Captain Gresson. We were monitoring the de-escalation practical exercises that our officers were going through. It was really a good morning, but I got to see Donna. I see a lot of people commenting. It's good to see a lot of you. I see Jessica on here. Good to hear from you, Jessica. Thank you very, very much for chiming in. We are trying to provide information about as real time as we can here, and keep it moving for all of you. So moving on, I want to talk about it was a subject of some media coverage. We had a press conference. It was live here on the APD Facebook page. Talks about the newly minted relationship with Cedar Crest College, which I'm very, very, very passionate about. Should be a graphic coming up there soon. And we are just excited to share that with you as this relationship goes on. And we talk about building the foundations of community policing, which here in the city again, which absolutely means interacting with all of you in different ways, whether it be surveys, meetings, making sure that data is coming back to us in a way that it means something in a tangible way. Looking at programs across the country and the topic of transferability. What works over here? We need to find out if it works over there, will it work here? What are the what are the barricades? What are the positives? What are the negatives? And how can we make it work for the residents of Allentown? That's very important for me, is that if we're going to do something here, that we are going to do it well. And I hope you're picking up on that. So try to keep answering some more questions. I know that following up on the Cedar Crest Initiative, we're really excited about rolling out the ABLE program from Georgetown University. That's the active bystandership for law enforcement. Putting it simply, that's the duty to intervene concept, and that is something that our officers here buy into and is supported far and wide. So thank you for that. We also have this coming week, we have the first the State Human Relations Commission in PA. We're working with our local city Human Relations Commission. And a shout out to Tatiana Tooley from the city, and also to Director Leonard Leitner for helping us get this started. You will read something about that. We are going to be the department where this training, which is statewide, gets rolled out. And we're going to do some of it in person, and then it's also going to be videoed and taped so it can be virtual for police officers across the state of Pennsylvania. And that's happening right here in the city of Allentown, first and foremost. We're not only on board for a number of these initiatives, in many cases, we're leading the way. And that's a good place to be. And I want to say thank you to the city and, of course, the people here at APD for making that happen. So moving on, trying to keep an eye on some of these questions. And Donna Hendricks is on there. Absolutely. Chris Hendricks is on here. We want to say thank you, as you've seen in some videos here, Sergeant Hendricks from our police department, who I just got a nice compliment about this week. He was part and parcel to getting these AEDs for weeks, putting them into the cars, some of it, almost all of it on his own time, and really saving lives. We could talk about the AEDs, which Chris and his relationship with Greg Moyer and his mom, Rachel, making sure that happened here. But you can take it a step further for some of the work that Chris has done here. There's probably not enough nice things that we could ever say about Chris and the work he's done here in terms of getting our officers tourniquets and saving lives on the streets of Allentown. And we're going to talk about a wanted person here shortly that we're looking for related to an earlier shooting where it's my opinion, from looking back at the videos and reports, that I think this is another example where our officers on the scene providing first aid, along with the wonderful service by Allentown EMS, is saving lives. And Sergeant Chris Hendricks deserves a huge shout out. We could probably do a whole show just on Chris, and maybe we should do that. We should do a whole show just on Chris here. We would have a great time, because Chris does great work here all the time. So thank you, Donna, for reaching out on there. Some training our officers are going to, and we are excited to be moving out of COVID and getting back to all kinds of in-person and virtual trainings. We had some of our officers, a sergeant and a detective, out at public information officer training for law enforcement, talking a lot about the use of social media, which we're doing here. Obviously, a lot of times it's me, but it's a whole group of people behind. And as we look to get more of them out there, and checking in with them while they were away at this training, they said, hey, they're using some of what we're doing here from APD as the example of what other departments should do or could do. And that's really, really exciting to see and hear. So, look for some fresh faces at these community meetings and also on here. I am going to try to schedule some sleep in the near future, or possibly a loft bed or a trundle in my office. But it's important to show off the many, many women of APD who work here. So that's something to look forward to. And it's always good to hear that what we're working on here is being noticed by people, across Pennsylvania and sometimes even farther. So thank you. I also want to talk about some good things going on the east side of Allentown yesterday and today. It's the COVID vaccination clinic for educators hosted at Deer High School. I know that our youth and community outreach team was involved in that, and thousands of vaccinations being given to educators over there yesterday and today, We did post some traffic concerns. It's probably about next to me right now on the screen if I had to guess. But just be aware of some possible traffic delays in that area for a very good reason. I didn't hear too many complaints yesterday, so that's good. But for a very good reason, getting educators vaccinated as quickly as possible here in the area. So thank you. And that's going on over in the area of Andre Reed Park, off of Irving Street near Deer High School. There's a couple small road closures over there. So a topic that's probably one of the most common calls, emails, etc., that we get here, citizen concerns, quality of life, of course, relates to driving. Aggressive driving in many capacities, vehicles, dirt bikes, ATVs, etc. And obviously, we've established a year-long campaign here to combat aggressive driving. We were out recently in the areas of some parks to include Cedar Beach, Cedar Creek Parkway. We were also in Lehigh Parkway. A number of people got stopped. A number of people received citations. The speeds were way too high, and they need to come down. We need to be cognizant across the city. I could do traffic enforcement operations in all parts of the city every day, and we're trying. We were doing some traffic enforcement on Hanover Avenue the other evening as well. Obviously, dirt bikes and ATVs, without going into some of the things that we are doing behind the scenes to make this work. We need your information on where these ATVs and dirt bikes are being stored so that we can take them off the street safely. We do not want to put anyone in danger, but we are very cognizant of the issues that those vehicles make present on our roadways. So rest assured, there will be more coming on that and more being done currently, some of which you may see and some of which you may not see. But just know that it's very close to our hearts and our minds, and we're working on that day in and day out. So I want to talk about something that I'm very excited about. Front page of the Morning Call today is APD, and it's talking about some hiring initiatives that we've had and success that we've done. This article profiles Officer Santiago, who graduated from Roberto Clemente Charter School, valedictorian of his class, if I remember correctly. This is just one of the many examples of the excellent men and women that we're hiring. I want to thank Paul Mushik for reaching out and wanting to do a story on that based off of some of the city council hiring information. We here at APD have done a nice job of hiring people the last 2 years. So thank you to the men and women of APD. That's actually a shout out to Sergeant Chris Hendricks too, is mentioned in this article. If we're talking about Sergeant Chris. He ran into Officer Santiago at a gym a few years back and said, hey, you should really do this. If this is what you want to do, and we're a great place to come work for. And that's the kind of information that we need out there. It's the recruiting by the officers. Obviously, it's the department's recruiting team. We have a nice relationship with Human Resources and our Civil Service Board here. So thank you to all of those people involved in the process. We've hired a phenomenal number of female officers in the last year. I'm very proud of that. I think we all should be proud of that. We've hired a strong percentage of officers that speak more than one language here, particularly Spanish here, and we've just hired some really good people, and that's exciting for me, and definitely one of my goals. So moving on from that, which I'm just so excited about, got a lot of calls about that since that article hit on Friday, and it was the Sunday top of the fold, as they say. I see some comments on here, and we're going to get into some sports. I see that my Central Catholic hat is on here. I think everyone knows that I'm part and partial to everything Allentown. I did graduate from Central Catholic. I want to say first, though, we are going to talk about a young lady from Allen High School who is a state medalist in wrestling. I don't know that this young lady got enough credit. We talk a lot about some more maybe more mainstream sports. I don't know if that's the fair thing to say. But this young lady who's a sophomore, and I'm hoping I'm getting her name right, but Rochelle Montes from Allen High School. Congratulations on your state medal in women's wrestling. Congratulations. You obviously have a huge future ahead of you in that. That is awesome to see in here. I wanted to bring that up. I think we're sharing their Facebook post. Canary Nation, Principal Mayfield, Athletic Director Atia. Congratulations on that. I know there's a lot of good sports things happening around the city. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to move on to another Allen team. They were 6A district champions, boys team, Coach Braswell, and we were very, very closely following that team's journey because their assistant coach, Officer Newsom from APD, and we did a little post on that. We were excited about it. We were proud of that team. Proud of all of the student athletes and all student athletes. You're doing the right thing. We're very proud of what you're doing. I know they ran into a tough team out of Philly in the state playoffs, but I couldn't even get a ticket for the game. What's going on, Athletic Director Atia? We're gonna have a phone call after this, but I'm your neighbor out there. But congratulations. And so moving on, I also want to say I know that executive education had a title team in districts and played well through a few rounds. And yes, I'm going to hit on it here. Just the other night, a little bit of a late night, and I was glad that I had Service Electric. Let me put it on here for the end of the show. How's that sound? I don't know if I can get it on here, but now that we have these cool headphones. But my Central Catholic Vikings hat, proud alum. I'm a pretty young alum. I just want to be honest. But they pulled out a victory against a very strong team from Hickory. It made me nervous because it felt like that movie Hoosiers. But I want to say thank you to our night shift officers and the Allentown Fire Department. They met the bus when it got off the highway here in the city and gave them a little escort down to 4th and Shoe to Rockney Hall. So congratulations to Coach Census, Principal Rice, and the team down there at Central Catholic. Well done, bringing a boys title back to the city for the first time in 30-some years, I think. Congratulations to all the student athletes this year. Keep up the good work. It's hard, and stick with it. You guys are all doing well. We're proud to be a part of this town and the good things that are happening. So closing us out here, I have my in-laws coming into town, so if you have any, so I might be working some extra shifts this week. No, I'm just kidding, Lee and Don, if you're listening. We're going to be hitting up some of the Allentown classics now that they're back into town as COVID winds down. We are going to talk about places to eat. I think we might have hit up Wirtz, maybe the Brass Rail a few times. So if you have any suggestions, throw them in there. Knowing our affinity for cheesesteaks, we might hit Zandy's and Seward's a few times too. So let's close out with some upcoming community initiatives for a way to interact with us. Is that we will have an APD COVID-safe Easter egg hunt next weekend on Saturday, April 3rd. Please follow the Facebook on that. And make sure that you're RSVPing ahead of time. We need to remain COVID safe. So APD Community at allentownpa.gov. I'll give it to you again, and we'll also post it in the comments. APD Community at allentownpa.gov is how you register for that. That is also how you register for our Spanish language Citizens Police Academy coming up. We have extended that deadline to March 31st as we have made an additional classroom available to remain COVID safe. We have a few spots left. So again, that's APD Community at allentownpa.gov for that. We will also be continuing some of these virtual talks online. We will also be having our community outreach unit. Sometimes you'll get to see me. Sometimes you'll get to see the various units and officers of APD out at your community meetings in person as we hopefully put COVID in the rear view. I said I would say that a few times. I think I've lived up to it. I want to give a shout out to Bethlehem Police Department. I've been watching some of the things they've been doing under the leadership of Chief Cott, a fellow St. Joe's University Hawk alumni. Congratulations, Chief Cott. I see some really good stuff that your department's doing. And here in the Lehigh Valley, we have to support one another. It is great to see community outreach being done in many areas. And we're excited to partner with Bethlehem. I think Chief Cott and I might have an idea or two in the pipeline. And as it relates to a future hiree here at the city of Allentown, from what I understand, and some relationships that we're building and some things that are close to our hearts here. So I just wanted to say congratulations. I see good things in policing from across the valley. It's not just about us here. It's a team effort, just like it is here at APD and FOP Lodge 10. I want to give a shout out to the men and women. They're out on the street right now. They're here Sunday morning. Hopefully the rain ends and we get back to good weather. But it's good to see the men and women of APD out there. I want to say thank you to them as we continue to push through COVID-19 and end it. So I will be signing off. I hope that you have a good holiday if you celebrate. And please continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We also have our own YouTube channel now. As my kids tell me, we have our own YouTube channel. So, like I said, it's a team here. To your team, wherever you're at in Allentown and beyond, we wish you a great Sunday, and we hope to hear more from you soon. Take care.